Hola amigos! Welcome back! In the last video, we learned how to manipulate UVs to make our textures tile and move. And today we're tackling one of the most powerful tools in all of 3D graphics, the normal map. If you want a game to run smoothly, you normally cannot have models with millions of polygons. It would melt your graphics card. But we still want our games to look incredibly detailed, right? We want to see the deep cracks in a stone wall, the individual threads in a fabric, or the heavy battle damage on a metal shield. So how do we get all that detail on a 3D model that is actually completely flat? Well, we fake it. We use a normal map to trick the engine's lighting into thinking that there is complex geometry where none actually exists. In this image, for example, both of the models on the sides have about 6,000 polygons, while the one in the center has 6.5 million. The difference between the one on the left and the one on the right is that the second one uses a normal texture that has been generated from the highly detailed center mesh. This process of taking data that is too expensive to process in runtime and somehow compressing it into a fixed, more manageable version, it's called baking, and it's common to do it for normal maps like in this case, but also for lighting information, reflections, etc. Let's take a look at a normal texture now. If you ever looked through a folder of game textures, you've definitely seen one of those. They always have this weird vibrant violet or blue color, but why? Just like we learned with UV coordinates, a normal map isn't really a picture, it's data. The engine uses the red, green, and blue color channels to represent the X, Y, and Z 3D axis. In the language of a normal map, red holds the data for left and right, the X axis, green holds the data for up and down, Y, and blue holds the data for depth, or pointing straight out of the camera, which is the Z axis. So if a surface is completely flat and smooth, all of its microscopic details are pointing straight out at you. That means the blue channel is at 100%, while the red and green channels are exactly 50% neutral. When you mix 100% blue with 50% red and 50% green, you get that exact signature violet blue color. But a quick side note. Depending on the game engine or 3D software that you're using, they might calculate the y-axis backwards. This is the difference between DirectX and OpenGL. That's why some normal maps look slightly more green or pink than others, but the underlying concept is exactly the same. So now, if thinking about X, Y, and Z axis is making your head spin, here's a much simpler way to picture exactly how the engine reads this data. Imagine your texture is just a flat, dark piece of plastic. We know that it has some bumps, but we cannot see them. Now, imagine that we turn on a bright red light and shine it hitting the plastic straightly from the right side. The light catches the edges of the bumps, creating red highlights and dark shadows. Next, we turn on a bright green light and shine it hitting the plastic strictly from the top. It creates a completely different set of green highlights and shadows. And this is exactly what a normal map is. Those red and green colors are literally pre-baked lighting data, or geometry data. And when we put a real light into the game level, the engine looks at this texture and says, oh well, this specific pixel has a lot of red in it. That means that this microscopic piece of the surface is angled sharply to the right. I need to bounce the light off as if this was a real physical bump. And it does this calculation for every single pixel 60 times or more per second, creating a flawless illusion of depth without adding a single polygon to your game. And now let's put this theory into practice and start by building a classic brick wall. But before that, a quick reminder that my first science fiction novel, The biome is available in most Amazon stores in both physical and digital editions. Here is the full cover by Antonio Del Hoyo in all its beautiful glory. If you want to support me and the channel, check it out via the links in the description below, and if you enjoy it, leave a review on Amazon on Goodreads. And now let's go back to Unreal. Inside a new material, let's bring in 3 textures. Remember, the shortcuts for a texture sampler is T and left click. And for this first one, I'm going to search for bricks and pick this bricks 001 color texture. Now I can duplicate this node with Ctrl D, and for the second one, I'm going to select the roughness version of the texture, duplicate it one more time, and select the normal map. Now let's take a look at these textures for a moment, and we can see that we have a color map with some old bricks, then a roughness texture where the bricks are darker, so they will be shinier, and then a normal map. Great. Oh. First, I'm going to plug in just the base color and the roughness, and leave the normal map completely disconnected for now. If we take a look at the preview and move the camera around, it looks okay, but it's completely flat. It looks like someone just took a high quality photo of a brick wall and pasted it onto a smooth piece of plastic. Now, watch what happens to the lighting the moment I plug this blue texture into the normal pin. Oh, I think I selected the wrong one. Yes, there we go. Boom. Instantly the mortar sinks in, the bricks pop out, and we have realistic highlights and some shadowing across the surface of a 3D model that's actually completely flat. And that's the power of a normal map. But what if the effect is too strong? What if you downloaded a texture and the bumps are just way too intense for your game, or maybe they are way too subtle and you want to push them further? We can control this right inside the material editor using a node called Flatten Normal. I'll disconnect for now our normal texture, drop in one of these Flatten Normal nodes, and connect the RGB output to the first input, which is a normal vector or a normal input, so a vector 3. And for the second parameter, flatness, I'm going to create a scalar with the shortcut again is 1 and left click, and connect this to flatness. Now the math here works a little differently than you might expect, so check this out. When our flatness value is set to 0, nothing happens. The node leaves our normal map at its default 100% strength. If I start increasing this value, so 0.5, now it begins to reduce the bumpiness, and if I push it all the way to 1, the normal map is completely flattened and we're back to our smooth piece of plastic. But here's the really cool trick. We can use negative numbers. If I set this value to -1 or -2 or even more, the engine actually multiplies the depth, increasing the bumpiness and giving us these really harsh, deep shadows in our mortar joints. And this is a great way to quickly tweak the intensity of surface details without having to open your texture editor like Photoshop. Now let's take this to the next level. Let's make it rain. We're going to layer a second normal map right on top of our brick wall to simulate water flowing through it. I'm going to bring this river flow normal map texture that I found in the engine files. So one more time, hit T and click for texture sample. And I'm going to search for river, and we have this river flow map normal. And full disclosure, I originally wanted to use a more subtle trickling water texture, but this river map was already here. That means that our wall is going to get hit with a bit of a torrential downpour today. And just like we learned in the last video, I want this texture to scroll down. So I'm going to drop in a panel node. Remember the shortcut is P. Connect the output to the input UVs of our water normal, and then give it a bit of a vertical speed so the water rushes downwards. So minus 0.1. Let's preview this, and yes, our texture is flowing downwards. Now, how are we going to combine these two normal maps? You may think that we can just use an add node, hit A and add these two together, but normal maps rely on very specific 3D vector math. And if we just add the colors together, we kind of break that math and the lighting will glitch out or won't work correctly. Instead, Unreal has a built-in node specifically for combining or blending normal maps called Blend Angle Corrected Normals. It sounds complicated. Blend Angle Corrected Normals. But you just plug your base bricks, so the first normal into the base normal, and the flowing water into the second slot, the additional normal, and the node will merge these angles or these directions together perfectly. And just like earlier, I'm going to copy these two nodes, Ctrl D to duplicate them, and instead of increasing the bumpiness of the water, I'm going to do the opposite and reduce it by half, so 0.5 on flatness. Now let's make some room here, and when we reconnect the normal and stop previewing this node, we have a much better illusion. The water normal is bending the light as it slides over the bumps of the bricks. But we can actually push this one step further for the ultimate cherry on top. Think about how real water works. When water flows over a surface, it bends the light behind it. It refracts. And Unreal has actual refraction settings, but they can be expensive for performance. And if we wanted to use real refraction, we would have to separate the water and the wall into two different objects, or use layer substrate slabs, or get into some very clever and advanced smoke and mirrors. But instead of doing any of that, remember what we did with the fire in the last video? We used the red and green data of a texture to distort our UV coordinates. And well, a normal map is literally made of red and green surface direction data, so it means that it's the perfect tool to fake how water bends the light. Let's move our texture sample for the water flow a little bit to the left and grab the red and green components of this flowing water normal. Remember, we do that with a component mask. And here we are going to select the red and green channels. So we take our flowing water and just extract this. Now I'm going to run this through a multiply node. So shortcut again is M, and multiply this by a very small value, 0.01, so the distortion isn't too crazy. And all of this is the same as we did in the previous video. Then I'm going to add this data to a standard texture coordinate node, and the shortcut one more time is U. So let's take this. So we have this scale down river flow normal and add that to a regular texture coordinate. So now if we zoom closely, it looks like there is something flowing over this red and green and yellow gradient. Great. And finally, I'm going to take these distorted, wobbly UV coordinates and plug them into the UV pins of all of the three of our static brick textures. The base color, then the roughness, and and yes, even our brick normal map. And now look at the final result. Because the water normal represents the physical angle of the surface, using that same exact data to distort the brick textures creates a really good, cheap, kind of realistic fake refraction. The bricks literally look like they are shifting behind the heavy flow of the water. And by understanding the math behind the nodes, you can combine these simple tools to create really large, really great AAA quality effects. And if we wanted to take this material and take it to a professional level in a AAA quality game, we'd need to add a few things and make a few changes. Probably we will want to add some darkening in the brick texture as they get wet, possibly reducing the roughness in soaked areas to make them shinier over time. And if the weather in that game was variable, we will need to add parameters to control this effect in runtime, and possibly increase the amount of water and speed of the effect. We will make materials with parameters like that in the future, but for now we can call this one done as we wrap today's tutorial. And I know that this video might have been a little bit shorter than the others in the series, but the thing that we just learned today, or we cover, is arguably one of the most important concepts in real-time 3D rendering. Normal maps are one of the backbones of game development. Now, there are definitely other wild ways to use normal maps, but to pull some of those off, we would need to dive into some pretty advanced concepts, like coordinated spaces and matrix transforms. But don't worry, we will get there eventually. And in the meantime, you should get excited about the next video. We're going to take everything that we learned so far and start diving into some more advanced shader math. We will learn the essential formulas that we will unlock a whole new level of control over how your materials behave. So if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the fun mathematics. Thank you all so much for the incredible support. I'm Enrique, and I'll catch you in the next tutorial. Bye!